Welcome to the Learn to RV podcast, where we support, inspire, and empower you 1 mile at a time.
Welcome to Learn to RV, the podcast. I am here with Teal. And Teal, I'm going to ask you to just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your family and how long you have been living the RV life.
Yeah. So, like Tasha said, my name is Teal. We've been full time in our rig for the last 3.5 years. We'll celebrate 4 years in May. It is me, my husband, two kiddos, and a dog. And we have hit 25 states in the last 3.5 years. And
Mm.
we've done a little bit of a lot of things in that amount of time.
So, what inspired you guys to take the leap and jump into RV life?
This is obviously like this is your standard RVer question, like what got you here? We
Hmm.
had the white picket fence life. My husband and I both ran successful businesses, and we just got tired of it. Like we didn't want
Yeah.
to anymore. And so we stopped and changed it all up. It was time to go.
So, how old are your kids right now?
They're 8 and 11, and
8 and 11.
Kimber, my oldest, did kinder first and second in public school before we
Uh
took
huh.
off to travel. And then my youngest just did kindergarten. And then we were talking about it the other day. He has no recollection of house life at all. And barely any recollection of kindergarten. So public school never happened for him. And according to him, we never lived in a house. It wasn't real.
It doesn't exist. So your oldest, well, okay. So how did they way back when they did know what was going on, how did they react to that initial move into the RV, out of the house? Like how did that go down?
Yeah. So we launched in kind of a weird way. So we launched first into a tiny little 24-foot no slide Jayco.
Uh-huh.
That little J Flight, man, we loved that thing. However, that thing was not designed for 4 people and 2 dogs at that point in time to go full time.
Oh my.
So we were full time in the Jayco for about 6 months. And then we actually got back into a rental house for a little bit, and then we were in the house and literally like selling off our stuff in the house. And so at that point, we upgraded to our Alpha Wolf. He was 39 feet long. There's a big difference, by the way, in the RV world
That's a
between 29
huge
feet and
difference.
39 feet, or sorry, 24 feet and 39. Those are not the same thing.
Uh-uh.
So yeah, so we upgraded, bought our new rig. We bought our rig in January, and we were full time by February. So it was Valentine's Day
Wow.
weekend that was like our first official, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So they went from literally like being in each other's space to having like
Hmm.
the RV wonderland to play in.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I mentioned we were in a house and then we upgraded to the bigger RV. When we did
Uh-huh.
have our little bit of time in that house, the kids were miserable. Like they were right back to bickering all the time. They were complaining about they couldn't, like, they wanted to sleep in the same room together because they got so used to sharing the bunkhouse. They like it was a whole big thing. We were like, all right, so
That is
house
so
life is not for
sweet.
us. Got it. And then here recently, we actually upgraded again from the travel
Uh-huh.
trailer to a 42-foot fifth wheel, which was a whole different ball game all in itself. So we made the jump from the baby camper to the middle of the road camper, and now like we're hanging out with the big dogs in this giant mansion is what it feels like sometimes. Like I had to relearn how to clean. Like, I know that
Uh-huh.
sounds really silly, but, like, when you're in
No,
a
it doesn't.
smaller rig, you get used to, like, your certain patterns, and now in this
Yeah.
thing, I'm like, I gotta dust, like, all the time, and not just like I have to wipe down one slide, it's like, this thing has 5 slides, this is insane. I the first
So
time
how
I ever my husband will forever hold this against me, the first time I, like, did a deep clean on this trailer, and I was like, "It took me 15 minutes to dust." And he's like, "Are you okay with that? I mean, like, we lived in a 2,400 square foot house. Like,
Uh-huh.
are you okay?" I'm like, "No. It took 15 minutes to dust the top of all these slides. Like, this is insane." And so, yeah, our RV life problems right there. All my friends
Right?
in regular houses that are like, it takes me like an hour to dust everything. I'm like, oh, I don't do that here.
So, okay, so you went from 24 feet to 42 feet. You like completely switched those numbers around. What
Yeah,
kind of difference
I
does
did.
that make for
I
you
did.
guys in terms of like where you can go and where you can camp? Did you see a vast difference in where you
Um,
guys have been able to
so
hang out?
so really and truly, a lot of people will say like you cross over that 40 foot and then like you can't get reservations, you can't get sites places. And I'm not gonna lie, since June, we've not had that problem. I mean,
Nice.
we've gotten into the rallies that we wanted to. We haven't had a problem getting spaces. Now I am gonna preface that by saying my husband has zero fear of driving this thing literally anywhere. Um, I can give him the tiniest little parking lot and he's like, I got it, let's go. So it's all in the confidence that you feel in your trailer. Like if
Uh-huh.
you feel good about it, you're golden. I mean, he gets us into we stop at ASTC museums, we stop at zoos, stuff like that, that he's just like, oh, I got it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna blindfold myself and it's fine.
That's
You
awesome.
when you need a spot, just call me, okay? Because in the meantime, I can't.
Well,
But
that gives me
it's
hope.
it's what you can do with your rig.
Okay, that gives me hope because we're in a 37-foot travel trailer with hopes of moving soonish into a larger something. I mean, we'd take anything. Um, and so I wasn't, you never know, like what kind of limitations does that put
Yeah,
on where you can go and what you can do? But, you know, what I'm hearing is that you just need to have moxie and
yeah,
anything is possible with a little bit of moxie.
yeah.
So
And
I'm gonna pivot
knowing
off of
the other thing is like
huh?
for reservations.
Uh-huh.
So my other thing like with that is reservations. I tend to book further in advance anyway, so I can get the larger site where I need to. So, and like with rallies, we're able to get into rallies because when that list first opens, I'm the first
Yeah.
one on the list because I know that I want to be there. So, if they only have 15, 20 spots for big rigs, I'm number one because I'm on the
Yeah.
list first.
Because 'cause you're a good planner. You did the planning ahead of
Like with
time.
anything in RV life, planning and preparing, you're going to be better off if you plan it beforehand,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
even if that means
Well,
planning to fail sometimes.
oh, that's a good one. Planning to fail. Oh, that's such a good one. That's like my whole life.
Hmm.
I we're like what oh my
Yep.
goodness, like
That
today.
we learned real fast. That is RV life. You better be
Uh-huh.
ready for the fact that you could fail.
Yep. Well, we are so we were supposed to be in North Carolina today. Like
Hmm.
you and I rescheduled this for me to be in North Carolina because I was having connectivity issues. So we thought, let's put this off. I am still in Kentucky because we just had a whole slew of things happen, but one of them was that Matt uh the broom broke and my husband just took a chunk out of his hand today and there was so much blood and it was like this is not we're not
Yeah.
this is not a thing. We had already been like, let's go ahead and, maybe stay another night. Like,
Hmm.
there's a lot to
Yeah.
do. But that solidified it. It was like, we're
Hmm.
not moving. So now we're here for a week.
We're staying.
Um,
Yep. Hmm.
but well, okay. So I want to talk about your Moxie a little bit because I'm so interested to hear about you guys just worked the beet harvest. And I have always wanted to hear about the beet harvest. And you're the first person outside of the people who are standing at the Tampa RV show going, no, really, come work with us at the beet harvest. You're the first RVer that I've ever spoken to that has actually gone and worked at the beet harvest. So I need you to give me all the details. So,
Mhm.
first of all, for people who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, can you tell us
Yeah.
what the beet harvest is and how you heard about it?
Okay. Yeah. So sugar beet harvest is actually one of the largest mega harvests in the United States. That is the even cooler part to me growing up in an area surrounded by farmers and for my husband growing up in a farming family. Everything that you're doing during the sugar beet harvest, the sugar beet industry is not owned by a large corporation. It's owned by your growers. So we kind of have an interesting perspective because we worked Michigan last year. So last year we worked for Michigan Sugar, which was fantastic. We met some of our best friends in Michigan working the sugar beet harvest. And then this year, I'm all about the experience. Like I want to do the different things. I want to see what's different. So we jumped in and we worked the North Dakota, Minnesota harvest this year, which was completely different. We worked for American Crystal Sugar. So the pretty much the only things that are the same are all of your safety protocols, the fact that they're beets, and the fact that the equipment is the same. But even then, not all the equipment is the same. You use front
Oh,
end loaders
wow.
in Michigan, where you use they use front end loaders and telehandlers, and then we use skid steers and bucket loaders in Minnesota. So I can't even say the equipment's the same. The pilers are the same. Is that fair? So the big question that everybody has with harvest, they ask about the weather. I'll get to that one in just
Mhm.
a second. And the second one they ask is about income. So I'm not going to give you an exact number the same way that Express, the hiring agency, won't. But I will tell you that we doubled in Minnesota what we made in Michigan. So
Wow.
we made good money in Michigan, but we made better money in Minnesota and North Dakota. So next year we're going back to Minnesota. Um partially
That makes
because
sense.
of the money and partially because we met really great people. Um
Yeah.
the in the end, it's not that much different. You're still working 14 to 21 days. Um, let's talk about everybody's favorite part, the weather. If you've ever worked in the agriculture industry, you know that it sucks. Okay, like there's no nice way to put it. You are at the mercy of the weather. When it comes to beets specifically, I feel like growing up, it was corn. It was corn and wheat
Mhm.
everywhere around us, and hay. And so you're at the mercy of the weather, but not as bad. Okay, so for beets, they can't be too hot. It can't be too
Mhm.
cold. It can't be too wet. It can't be snowing. You literally have about a 30-degree window where you can harvest. And you're not just looking at the air temperature, you're looking at the ground temperature, and you're looking at the beet temperature. And all these things have to work perfectly together in order to make harvest happen. And then, like this year in Minnesota, our big issue was we got the temperature. The temperature was great. And then the sky decided to fall out and it rained. And then it rained some more. And then it rained again.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
did that for like 3 days. And so we had the issue of trucks were getting stuck in the fields, and then they were getting stuck on the roads getting to us because they had brought in so much mud and dirt onto the roads that then the roads were muddy and slick. And so then, yeah, we got to a point where they're like, they can't even get to us. And then when they do get to us, part of the piling ground where we're stacking all these beets is mud and dirt. And so then they're stuck with us. Um, which it was a
Oh
good
my
time.
god.
It was very muddy. We only had
Mhm.
one night this year where we got below freezing. Um, so yeah, the money is really good. The weather sucks. A lot of people this year were kind of up in arms because with the Michigan harvest, they didn't work very much. They didn't make a lot of
Mm.
money. Um, that's no fault of Michigan Sugar. That's no fault of Express. The employment agency you have to go through. That's just the ag industry. Um,
Yeah.
and then I will say, coming from like my husband and I both work harvest. If it was just one of us, it might not be worth it to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I get that.
You've got to think, especially if you're paying for your travel getting there, they do pay for your campsite. We were at an amazing state park in Minnesota this whole time that was like 2 minutes away from the piling ground. It was great. But if you're driving, we budget. We know that it's coming. So, but for some of these families, like they drove from their previous work camping gig to Michigan and they only got like 8 days of work. So
Wow.
if you were a single person going up there to work, you lost money. Um,
Yeah.
but there's nothing anybody could have done differently about it, which sucks. But I mean,
Mhm.
that is what it is.
So you go up there, you've got your kids with you, you've
Mhm,
got your husband. Are you
mhm.
and your husband working different shifts? Or how do you make a work day work with your kids in tow? How does that look for a family of 4?
Yeah. So for us, it's pretty easy with our kids being older. We in Minnesota, you work a 12-hour shift. So I was 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Or sorry, I said that backwards. I was 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. I was on overnights. And then my husband was on days 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So he carpooled to the piling ground, which your entire campground is all other people working with you. So it was pretty easy for him to just find somebody else and jump in the truck with somebody else.
Mhm.
And honestly, he's kind of a social butterfly. So he's like hey, I'm gonna ride back with you. And he would just like jump in the car with a random person. Um and then I took the truck back and forth as because I was working kind of the odd shift. Um
Yeah.
so it worked out better that way for us. And so we rotate. We did the same thing last year in Michigan. Michigan is only 8, I believe, maybe 9-hour days. So it was kind of the same thing. We had a little bit more of time together when we were in Michigan versus when we were in Minnesota. Whereas Minnesota, most of the time, every once in a while, I would be clocking in as he would be clocking out, and we would like high five in the hallway on our way. But like our kind of joke about it is like it's just 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
mean, this year it was about 2.5 weeks, so it was like we can tolerate this for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Um, 2.5 weeks, and you walk away this past season quite literally with $10,000. It was worth it. Uh,
Yeah.
we were joking with the kids. We're like, "This is what we did. Like, did it suck for a minute? Yeah. But now we're done. Now we've moved on." So,
Yeah. Absolutely. So what is I mean, aside from weather and aside from
mhm.
not really knowing what to expect when you get there, because you can't control weather. I mean, you just can't. What are the most challenging aspects of that harvest work? And then on the adverse side of that, what kind of surprised you these last 2 years going into working the harvest? What has been the most surprising, um, benefit of doing this kind of work?
um, so I'll be the first one to tell you I am not the people person. I am the introverted extrovert. So I will people for a
Mhm.
little bit and then I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to my camper and stay in my little hole.
Yep.
But the people that we have met, both in Michigan and in Minnesota, have been just phenomenal people. You now don't get me wrong, you got winners in every crowd. But you've got I mean, our piling ground in Michigan is an easy example. Somehow we ended up with all the schooly people. Schooly people, y'all are legit, okay? Y'all are like your own little community that you like, I can't even describe. However, you have no problem being like, oh, you're in a travel trailer? We're gonna be friends too. So
That's awesome.
we made some of the coolest friends that you can't replace. And then little fun side story. So I in Minnesota, well, actually in both Michigan and Minnesota, I was a piler operator, which basically kind of puts you as not really a management position, but like you're leading your crew. And in Minnesota, something that's a little different is they let the operators pick their crew. So that very first night we get out there and one of our foremen says, you know, pick your 4 people. I'm like, all right. So I'm looking around. We're all like watching our little safety training. And I picked my people. And my foreman afterwards asked me, he was like, what did you do? Like, how did you do that? And I was like, well, here's what I'm going to tell you. I picked 2 couples, first of all, because they're going to hold each other accountable. Like they're not both going to punk out because you do have people that quit mid-harvest. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to show up together every single night. They also already communicate with each other because they full-time in their RV. They're still married. And they both look about my age, if not older. So they've been doing this for a minute. They know how to
Mm-hmm.
communicate with each other. So, and then he was like, okay, I see that part, but how did you pick, like, out of all the couples here, how'd you pick those 2? And I said, well, that guy has a military background. Now, mind you, he didn't have anything identifiable, but I was like, he's military. And then he was like, what about the other guy? He's not military. I said, no, but he has a construction background. And he was like, I don't know how you knew that, but I'm going to let you have it. So as soon as I got talking to both of these couples, they were like, how did you like what? And I was like, I I'm a watcher. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
sat in the back and I'm like, they're okay, I see them. And so I picked my people. Well, I picked good people because by the end of the season, I was the only one that still had my original team.
That's
And
awesome.
I had my original team that we all somehow ended up we were all going from Minnesota to Texas, different areas in Texas, but still Texas. And then we all like communicated our whole way down, talking about where we're going, what are we doing. And so, and what was kind of funny, both of my teams actually met up in Sioux City and went to a casino together like after we had finished harvest. So, and they were like, "You want to come with us?" I was like, "I'm not gonna lie, I can't leave the kids in a casino parking lot, so I'm gonna have to tap out on that one." But you build these relationships and you meet these people that
Yeah.
are, I mean, really and truly, they're friends for life. So it's been that way both seasons. So you build those relationships and you meet people that are like-minded. And I think in this world that we like the RV world as a whole, finding those other
Yeah.
people that are like you is really, really valuable.
Yes. I would agree with that. I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
So,
You
speaking of like-minded, I'm going to shift quite a bit to serve.
I was
So
just thinking that that
we
was the perfect segue
the
into the
perfect
next
segue.
into your next bullet point.
So, um, we have had the pleasure of working with Serve a little bit. My husband and my
Mhm.
kids and I, we know the Conlins, and we went to a rally in I don't remember where, but it was somewhere beautiful. But I know
I know they
where,
did
but I can't.
one in Georgia.
We went there.
Yeah.
We've been to a few different events. We went to Ocala. That's where we were. We went to like a longer Ocala rally. And
Mhm.
we went and like worked at a state park and did some cleanup stuff there. And it was just wonderful. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Um, so we just did a Giving Back on the Road episode, and I like kind of roped Christina in, and I was like, we've got to get Serve
Yeah.
on. So I was so excited whenever I saw that you guys
Mhm.
are Serve ambassadors. So tell me
Yes.
a little bit about how you guys got hooked up with Serve, and what does your role as ambassadors entail for you guys?
Yeah. So serve is something that we honestly kind of fell into on accident. When we were full-time in our rig, but we were still stationary trying to sell off businesses and stuff. I have a local organization in our hometown that I was always really plugged in and involved with. And it just kind of fell into place. I was researching some stuff on Lippert, fell onto the serve page, and I was like, oh, we already do this. So why not do this with other RV people? And
Mhm.
so that's kind of how we fell into seRV. And then we've been with them. This is our second year closing out. So we started in 2024. Um, and then as the ambassadors, kind of all we really do is we kind of create those events. We create those opportunities for other RVers to give back. I know we've really tried to focus this year on the areas where a lot of RVers are going to be. So things
Mhm.
like we're about to head to Central Texas where there's a lot of other full-time families right now. That's where a lot of people are wintering. So we have put together 3 different events to close out the year, 2 actually working with the nonprofit that I worked with when we were still stationary, and then 1 actually going to a nursing home there in San Antonio and just hanging out with the residents, passing out candy, just sharing some smiles for the Christmas holidays. So your seRV events really can vary. They can be, like you mentioned, doing trail cleanups. We do stuff with the food bank. I know they've done a lot of stuff with the Orlando Food Bank. Um,
Mhm.
they've done things with animal shelters. They do different collection drives. This year, I know we've done several different events at rallies, actually just doing cards for hospitalized kids. So it's
Yes,
a
I love
really cool
doing that.
nonprofit that I love. Like when you do events with full-time families and then pulling all the kids in there to decorate
Mhm.
cards, the kids love it. It lets them get crafty,
Yes.
lets them have a little bit of fun, and then also shares that little bit of joy at the same time.
Yep.
So it's definitely one that we love.
Well, when you guys are setting up these
Mhm.
events, what kind of things are you looking for? Like, are you setting something up at each um, place that you're going, or is there something that triggers, this is a place where we want to set up an event, or I know that you're looking for areas where there are other families, but what about the actual location that you're at that kinda gets that going for you guys?
I know I can kind of speak for all the ambassadors and saying like we all kind of have like our niche and the thing that we love to do. So like I mentioned, I love doing stuff with the food bank. I love being able to be the hands and feet and get those resources in people's hands. And with my kids, that's one of their favorite things too. So
Yeah.
it's a great way to get the kids plugged in and involved. We've got some families that love doing like backpack drives, doing cards, doing drives to put different things together. They've also been doing a lot of birthday kits lately. We have not coordinated one of those, but I know Christina is super excited about all her birthday kits. And then they take those to foster homes and group homes and get those in kids' hands. It's like a ready-made birthday, basically.
Yes.
So it's a
She
super
was
cool
talking
concept.
about
I
how
feel like,
you can, like, replace basically everything you need in a birthday cake with a can of Sprite or something, and I was like,
yeah,
"Excuse me, what? I have
mhm,
been doing birthdays wrong
right,
for 20
mhm,
something years now." My oldest just turned 21, and I did birthday
yeah,
parties way too elaborately wrong.
yep. So she puts together these little birthday kits and they're super cute. And then she takes those and it's a way to share a little bit of joy. So as far as how we find the specific locations and what we want to do, when we know we're gonna be in a certain spot for a little bit longer, even I mean, honestly, just 3 weeks. That's really all a lot of us need to be able to find somewhere that we can plug in, get kind of all of the rules of that organization. Because like every food bank, animal shelter, all of that kind of stuff, they're all a little different as far as what their requirements are to volunteer. And then once we get all those requirements, then we pick a date and run with it. Like a lot of things with RV, you plan it out and then you're like, all right, let's go. Like it could fall on its face and that's fine. We're rolling. Let's go. And and that's what some of these are. And then some of them, like when we do rallies, rallies are an easy one. If you're attending a rally, see if there's a seRV ambassador that can be there. And we love, even if it's just kind of helping you to put it together. I said one of our big ones that we've done several of this year was cards for hospitalized kids. And that was one that paper, a box of markers, and some stickers, and these kids were great. Our rally in Glacier, we made, I think it was like 55 cards or something like that. So that's 55 smiles.
That's awesome. If people are interested in finding an ambassador or an ambassador family that might be near them, trying to find an event, what's the best way for them to get plugged in with a serve ambassador?
Yeah. The Facebook group, honestly.
Okay.
The seRV Facebook group is fantastic. The Facebook group is where we are all the most active, and that's where anytime we're putting together a new event, it goes there. We put them on the seRV website, but they can get missed. So on the website, they can get lost in translation. So the
Yeah.
Facebook group is going to be the best place to find those. And you can search by location, you can find a specific ambassador, but we all create a graphic as well as an event in that Facebook page for everything that we do. So whether it's a big one, like I'm working on the Thanksgiving food drive right now. So that one is a big one. We'll have 20 to 30 serve volunteers out there. And then some of them are super small. The one that we did just last week, it was my family and two other kids. But they're all out there on the page that you can search by location.
That is awesome. So I'm going to kind of pull together our interview and um, wrap us up by kind of focusing on your family now and what full-time RVing has meant for you. And so you've got your kids and you're in the RV. What do you guys do for school? How are you guys doing schooling on the road?
So we utilize two different programs. We do a little bit of outschool as well as we work with Me Academy. This is our third year using Mia as our primary curriculum. Um, I love as a multi-passionate entrepreneur that does a whole lot of things in a day. I love that with Mia, I can simply plug and play and say, "Hey guys, here's what we're doing," and they can go to work, and then I can go kind of watch in the background. I don't have to micromanage them. And then with both of my kiddos, like my son is very task oriented. So he's the first one to be like, I have 7 things on my list today. But he's also the one like, I have 7 things on my list and it's 9 a.m. and I'm done. Bye, mom. So they, but they're able to set their own rhythm. We also have
Yeah.
been joking. My oldest, we're getting into those preteen years. Y'all send
Hmm.
help, please. Um, but she is my night owl. And so
Uh-huh.
she will go log in and like do her schoolwork at like 3 in the morning. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, girlfriend, I don't I don't know that I can say don't do that because you're doing it and you're doing a good job. But I
Right?
mean like, um, what? Okay, that's fine. So, but with that's part of the joy of Me Academy though. They are
Yeah.
completely self-paced. They and they can take care of it when it works for them. So, the other kind of fun piece with Mia, when we're somewhere fun, we don't have to school. We school year round so that way we can skip.
Yep.
I mentioned we were at a rally. Yeah, we didn't school that week. We'll be down at Tampa for the RV show. Yeah, we're not gonna do school that week either. And but we can do that because like things like right now it's just us and when we're chilling, we don't really have any plans. We're at a park out in the middle of nowhere. Let's do some extra. And so that's exactly what we do. We can pace ourselves that way.
I love that. So one of the questions obviously is how do you schedule a routine for, and what is normalcy? What does that look like for your family? And what it looks like, it sounds like, is whatever fits the rhythm of your family. It's your guys' internal rhythm. And I think that that is so beautiful because I think that that's really what RV life is about. I don't think that we'd be living this life if the cookie cutter life in a box prescribed way
Mhm.
was what worked for us,
Yep.
and that it seems like your kids are thriving,
Yeah.
is what it sounds like, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and that's really wonderful.
Mhm.
Um, so what are some unexpected surprises that you've had with kids on the road that maybe you and your husband weren't really anticipating when you guys set out?
Hey, okay, unexpected surprises with kids on the road. That's a hard one. Um, my honestly, the adaptability of my kids. Um, I growing up, I was always a very structured person, and I tended to parent that way at the beginning. And then when we hit the road, I still was trying to very micromanage, very type A. And so I don't know that it would be a big surprise with my kids, but so much with myself as I was like, okay, this is the way it's gonna go. And then about a month in, I was like, no, it's not. It's not. Like, it's fine. And so with the kids being able to be like, mom's gonna have a moment. We're just gonna let her have a moment and we'll come back. Because I would, like, get so frustrated, like, we would get to a stop and the spot was too small or this didn't work or, um, our very first ever trip out when we went to our second rig, so 39 feet, we were dual axle and, we blew 2 tires in 1 trip, literally. Um,
Oh,
you
girl, I've been
wanna
there.
talk about a type A person that's having a mental breakdown? That was me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um If anybody is curious, you can in fact change a tire on the side of a highway in under 6 minutes. Um, I dare you to beat it. You cannot. Um, the the first one we got really good at, and then the second one, from the time it blew to the time that we jumped back in the truck fixing it, 6 minutes was all it took.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know that I have a big surprise with my kids so much as with myself and being able to, like, to roll with it because I was
Yeah,
not a roll with it person at the beginning.
but I think that that's great. I mean, I think that that is kind of with your kids though,
Mhm,
because I think one of the things about being a parent is a lot of times being a parent teaches us I don't know. I thought that being a parent was going to be a lot about shaping the minds of another person
mhm,
and teaching them how to take care of themselves and teaching them how to care for others and I one of the biggest surprises for me as a mom has been how much they have taught me about
mhm,
myself.
yep,
And, even we've been on the road for about 2.5 years. Um,
yeah,
and my oldest just turned 21 on Wednesday and is still on the
mhm,
road with us. Took a gap year
fantastic,
after they graduated and has done some online college. And now they're talking about like wanting to get a van and continue this lifestyle. Like they love it. And my
yeah,
youngest turns 18 on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. Um, and I, so they were like
yeah,
almost 16 and almost 19 when we launched,
mhm,
and you kinda think, "Okay, they're pretty close to being done baking." If
there
they're
you go,
if they're a set of cookies in the oven, like, they're almost done.
yeah,
But they still, like, have taught us so much, even
oh, yeah,
just in these 2.5 years that we've been on the road.
mhm,
Um, and so I think that's one of the most amazing things about this lifestyle
yeah,
is that our kids, there's so many opportunities for us to show them amazing things in this country while we're out living this life. But there's also so many things that we learn about ourselves and about how we relate to the things around us when
yeah,
we spend that time with our kids and when we
mhm,
experience those things with our kids. So I think that's great. You know, I think that you answered the question perfectly is what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way. In my 5-minute diatribe kind of way of talking that I do.
yep, I think that too, that's something that a lot of people don't think about when we think, like, as parents, like you said, we get this mentality of like, oh, I have to teach them things. I told my kids
Yeah.
the other day, I personally have seen more of this country with them than I ever did growing up.
Yep.
I have hit more national parks. I have seen more museums. I have seen more big monuments. I have seen and I have done more in 3 years on the road with them than I did my whole life.
Yeah.
So it is, yes, I'm teaching them, but I'm learning right with them.
Yep. Well, if you have a way, is there a way that our listeners can connect with you or follow along with your family's adventures?
Absolutely. So we are growing our YouTube, and then we are primarily on Instagram. So at Told You So, like TOWED. And I'll drop that link for you too, Tasha. You can add it
Awesome.
into the captions.
Yep.
But yeah, so we are Told You So on Instagram, and then we are just my name. I'm super basic on Facebook, so you can find me on Facebook. That's where I share all of our travels, all of the good stuff that we're doing. And then YouTube is the same. Told you so.
All right. And we will also put the serve link for
Yes.
finding you guys on Facebook for the serve group
Mhm.
and the website for serve as well. If anybody wants to get in there and kind of dig around on the Lippert site to find that, and we'll get all of that in the show notes as well. But thank you so much for giving me some of your time and for being so amazing and
Absolutely.
rescheduling when I was
Mhm.
having a pretty usual technological difficulty day, as I do, and
That is,
as everybody who listens along with us is familiar with. But I really
mhm,
appreciate you. And
of course.
I just hope that your journeys continue on to be fantastic and that we get to
Yes,
speak again.
ma'am.
All
Of
right.
course. Thank you, Tasha. Thank you guys so much for
Yeah,
having me. It's been fun.
absolutely. Talk again soon.
Thanks for riding along with us today. Until next time, keep the wheels turning.